It's your job to go get work. Nobody's giving it to you. You have to perform the work. It's your job to go do the work once you get it. But while you're doing the work, you still got to be getting more work. Then you have to manage all your resources. You have financial resources you have to manage. IRS wants to see paperwork. DRE wants to see paperwork too. You have capital resources. You have a car that probably is something you use for your business. That's a legitimate business expense. You're going to manage that. You've got maybe computers and office equipment, your iPhone, whatever you're using. Human resources. Well, you are the human resource. Are you juggling all this kind of stuff? You're going to do all this at the same time, in a nutshell, which is what we just saw on that other organization chart. How many of you are experts at the customer service, and experts at the accounting, and experts at the sales, and expert at the contract review, and expert at managing escrows? Does it make sense that one person can be all of that? We've all got our own strengths and weaknesses, right? We have our own bents. But it's all got to get done. And if you don't do it, who's going to do it? Right? Okay. Real estate's also a risky business. Did you know that? And I went all over, I did a lot of research on this, approximately 5 minutes worth, because the rest of the 2 hours I was researching, I was on Facebook, but that's a good story. So, I'm one of the distracted people we talked about earlier. Estimates are anywhere from 60 to 70% of real estate agents who quit within the first year. Now, those are people that actually quit. Did you know there's probably a lot more that actually still show up every day and go through the motions, but they've actually quit? I don't know what that number is. It's probably pretty scary. I had a friend of mine years ago who said that he worked in real estate, and he said, you know, the thing is, when the recession comes, the business will drop by 25 to 30%, which is a big dip. But 50% of the agents will either quit or quit trying, which means his share should go up. How's that for a view of the world?
Yeah, good.
Okay, and he's probably right. He always anticipated an increase when the recession came because everybody around him got discouraged. Okay, it doesn't require a lot of large startup capital. You can get into business yourself as an entrepreneur, as your real estate business, for very little capital outlay. It didn't cost that much. Now you guys think it did because you went to all the stuff, you had to get all the stuff you went through, set everything up. But think about what it takes to open up a McDonald's. Think about what it takes to start a dry cleaner. Think about what it takes to open a restaurant, a hotel, okay, a department store. There's a lot of businesses we can do out there. Carpet cleaning business, you got to go buy a bunch of equipment for it. Those are expensive businesses. Even a franchise are very expensive. That's one of the more economical ways to get into business. So getting into real estate doesn't require a lot of startup capital, so it's easy to get into. But that can lure you into a false sense of this is all going to be all right. Okay. It does require sufficient cash resources or cash flow for your financial obligations in the meantime, because it could be a long time between paydays. Sometimes it's easier to get into it than it is to get back out of it again. You've got a lot of capital outlay in there, right? It is a risky business. So what are the primary causes of failure in the business? I know failure is a dirty word, but we'll call it lack of success if you want to call it that. Is that better? All right. Very few fail because of a singular, sudden, catastrophic event. All right? The housing bubble burst and everybody went under. Most of them didn't die because of that one little event. There's probably a predominant factor, but there's rarely just one factor. There's a series of different things that went wrong that caused someone to go down. And it's interrelated factors, and there's two basic categories of causes of why your business or any business could fail. There's external and internal. That's an easy way to divide them up. The external stuff you can't do anything about. The internal stuff you can. So we look at external factors. This is what most people are blaming right now for all the problems. The prolonged economic recession, and there's no doubt we're in one. No doubt about it. And sometimes I look at evidence and I'm not sure it's as bad as people think, because you can't find a parking lot at the restaurants in the mall on the weekend. Somebody's spending money somewhere. You can't find a seat at the movie theater sometimes. Disneyland hasn't been short on people. So I wonder sometimes. Other times I know a lot of people lost their houses, lost their jobs, and they've got a lot of major life problems. So I know that on the other hand, there's some truth to it. Somewhere in between is where reality is.
A lot of restaurants are closing down.
A lot of restaurants are closing down, but a lot of it because there's new restaurants keep opening up. So how much is that the recession? How much is that is new competition? I don't know. And I think the problem is most of us go try the new restaurant and we get bored with it, and the new one's open, we go over and try this one, and then that one has to shut down, right? Iron Walk closed down when PF Chang's open.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. You have a reduced sales activity, but you also have, that means increased competition and lower margins. Because you're discounting stuff in order to compete with other agents, because another agent's gonna do it for less commission, so you're gonna go down as well. Yes?
I don't know if there's increased competition, though. We're losing a lot of agents because of what you're saying.
You are, but when you lose the sales activity, it's gonna create competition, and that's gonna force a lot of agents to quit, right? Which will then open it back up again. But what caused those agents to quit probably was the reduced sales activity, which created the greater competition. They said, well, I'm not even gonna try it. There's no way. Now there's, it used to be I competed with a handful of agents, now I'm competing with everyone. You may have, some agents have many regular customers, and a lot of this tends to be more the commercial side of the industry. You have regular customers, let's say you contract with a major food service provider and you find site locations for them. Some people, again, I worked in the real estate business where I worked with production home builders. And many of them bought several large pieces of land from us as we would map them and sell them off. So if you lose one or more major customers, you're dead. That's one reason I'm not doing that anymore, because my major customers stopped buying all the land altogether. So you get some new competition that comes in. Now remember, sometimes the opposite of this is when you have good times, new competition comes in. When things were booming, how many real estate agents did we have in town? Everybody was a real estate agent. I was shocked to come home one day and find a little thing on my door at my house for a real estate team who lived here in Temecula, and I know I lived in Temecula. The last time I had saw them, it was the pastor and his wife at a church I used to attend out in the desert. They moved to Temecula and went into real estate. Obviously, the real estate was paying more money than God was at that point in time. So, they changed careers.
God only knows.
I don't know. I don't know if you're allowed to be a pastor, so I don't know, I shouldn't say that. Okay. Especially if the market's not expanding at the time. Sometimes you can do competition, the market's not expanding. I do know that even as things turn down and went slow, I still saw the big signs. Real estate classes here will train you how to be a real estate agent while things are still dropping down, so still bringing people in. And again, that creates more increased competition, lower margins. Sometimes it's a problem of shortage of skilled help. When things are really booming, when the times are good, one of the problems is you forego business because you can't keep up with it. You can't go get new business because it's all you can do to keep up with what you already have. You just run in circles. And that can actually also cause damage to your reputation as an agent if you can't keep up on the obligations you already have. Again, the good thing about a slow time is you got plenty of time to service your customers. Okay, but the thing about the busy time is sometimes you can get so busy that you're not giving good service. All right, and that'll damage you in the long term. So, the internal problems are actually the real key. See, all those external things you can't do anything about. That's the economy. That's things outside of you. That's people moving in that want to compete with you. You don't have control over that stuff. Those agents that all quit, the majority of them are not quitting, and they're not falling apart because of the external factors. What the external factors do is expose the internal weaknesses. Because if it was the external factors that caused it, everybody got hit with the same recession, did they not? Why isn't everybody out of business? Why are some agents still producing? Why are some still producing really well? They're in the same recession everybody else is. So it can't be the external factor by itself that caused that. But it could be that external factor exposed an internal problem. Okay? Well, internal problems tend to come from lack of planning. So if you're not a north, you might not be planning. Now, interesting, after that, I asked Marie what I was, and she said she thought I was a north, and I'm really not. And she said that because I am a big proponent of doing planning. I go to businesses and I help them go through planning processes. The truth is, that's a learned behavior. That's not a natural behavior for me. My natural behavior is to be very loosey-goosey, fly by the seat of my pants, and whatever happens, que sera, sera. But this is not the healthiest way to do business. We have to sometimes adopt, just because something's a natural bit doesn't mean you have to avoid other elements of different styles. I am a huge proponent of planning, but I'm also a huge proponent of taking that plan, putting it together, and holding it with a very open, loose hand. Because I'm also a proponent of grabbing opportunities as they come, even if they weren't in your mind. So I don't live by the tyranny of the or. You either have to do this or this. I tend to live by the and. I can do this and I can do this. Because I'm just greedy and I want it all, and that's the way I am. So strategic planning issues tend to be one of the big things. A strategic implementation and control. Sometimes people have a plan, but that's as far as it goes. It never went anywhere else. I don't know how to put the plan into action. Or I put it into action and it didn't happen the way I wanted it to, and I had no way to control it. The thing with this is you have to be able to go back and look at the plan you've implemented and see if it matches what you thought you were going to get, and if it doesn't, revise it. That's the control part of it. Anybody ever do business school? They teach you planning, organizing, directing, and control. The control function is to look at your planning, what you directed, what you organized, and then the control function is to analyze it, evaluate it, and see if you're getting what you're supposed to get. Do you ever hear the old inspect to make sure you get what you expect? That's what that is. That's the inspect function. To make sure you're getting what you expected in your plan, and then it's an iterative process that keeps going around and around and around. And financial management issues tend to be a problem. Sometimes we can have a great overall plan, a vision for where we want to go, and put it in action. We're not managing our money. And so, I know that for most agents, the majority of the training that you like, that you want to open your ears to, is the how do I get more business? How can I increase my volume? How can I get more leads? How can I do more effective marketing? And that's all good, because you have to be able to go there. But it does no good to have the front door open to bring it all in if the back door is also open and it's all running out the back side, and you're not controlling the financial resources that you have. That happens with financial planning. Most of us don't like that part. That organization chart I showed you, when I do consulting with businesses, and I put their name in all the boxes, because I don't put me in there, I put their actual names in the boxes, and I say, of these boxes, which is the first one you want someone else to do? What do you think, which box do you think that is? Any guesses? The bookkeeping. That's right. It's the bookkeeping, the accounting, and the filing. That's the part nobody wants to do. It's not the fun part. You know, people that want to do that didn't go into the real estate business. Because the real estate business is a people business, and the bookkeeping business is they sit in a cubicle all day long at my desk and paper business. And that fits certain personality types, not the type of people that want to be a real estate agent. So that's one of the first boxes everybody wants to get rid of. All right, and organizational issues. We can put all this together, but we don't have an organization. I showed you the organization chart, and the problem with that is you can't cover all the bases. It's impossible. Now, most of us think we can multitask pretty well, right? We hear multitask pretty good? Do you actually multitask? Multitasking, to me, would be doing a lot of things all at the same time. All at the same time. Can you actually do all the stuff all at the same time?
If you're a woman.
Women do better than men. That's a fact. You're right. You're actually right. Women do much better than men at multitasking. This explains why, when a man and a woman have a disagreement, the woman has an advantage. Because the man only can deal with one topic at a time. And he argues the facts and the merits of that topic, and what is the woman doing? She goes historical, right? She can list everything and anything related to any topic and go through it. It's your mother-in-law, it was this, and your job, and on and on and on. He cannot unpack this fast enough, and he's going crazy. What does he do? He crawls into himself, shuts down, and walks away, and he can't say anything because he can't deal with all that at once. Because her mind can actually process all that at once. Women do much better at multitasking. I came out of the construction industry, and the honest truth is, women made some of the best project managers out there because they could handle a lot of stuff at once. But even with that being said, you guys ever seen a good juggler? Got all the stuff in the air going, right? He's got a tennis racket, a samurai sword, a bowling pin, and he's just going all about. He's moving all that stuff, and it's all in the air, but is he really multitasking all that? Is he dealing with all of that at once? He's dealing with one at a time, but really fast going between them, isn't he? If you slow him down, he's only handling one object at a time and controlling it and throwing it back up in the air. And while gravity's doing its thing, he's dealing with the next object. And that's what a lot of us do. It's not really multitasking. We're just got a whole lot of stuff we're trying to cover all at once, and we're just, for a finite second, ignoring that while we take care of this. That tends to be what we do. Very difficult to try and do, and that's where your organizational issues come in. How do I cover all those bases? And I'm not good at everything. And so the part I'm not good at and I don't like is the part that gets ignored. And then I get in trouble because the IRS knocks on my door and audits me one day. Because it was the bookkeeping I didn't want to do, right? Okay, we get confusing signs. That's a part of how we got here. People gave us mixed signals. We don't know what we're supposed to do. What do you do when you see this sign? I don't know. Or we can sometimes get clear direction, but the opposite direction too, like this one. Now, it can get worse too. I mentioned some of the difference between male and female, and I don't pick on anybody here, but see this sign right here? Do you know who put that up there? No, a man. You know why you know that? Because it tells you exactly what you're supposed to do. It's one word, it says stop. If a woman had put the sign up there, what would it say? If you really knew me and understood me, you'd know what you're supposed to do here. Maybe that's just my own experience, I don't know. But, now, this is confusing, obviously. We don't know what we're supposed to do there. This is a good sign. This is communication. I know exactly what's going on here. There's no guessing on this one. Clear direction. Okay. Another good sign. It communicates pretty clearly to me what's going on. Yeah, it's going on right now, isn't it? Right. That's right.